Hi everyone, welcome to another segment of Word of the Day. This is Caesar with Inspire a Movement. I hope you're having a lovely start to your work week. So today we're looking at the word guilt, which by definition means the fact of having committed a specified or implied offense or crime. So what are some symptoms of guilt? For one, you're very sensitive to the effects of all things. You feel a sense of overwhelm when you reflect on the wrong choices that you have made. You put others before yourself, almost to the point where it's detrimental, almost as a form of self-punishment, if you want to look at it that way. And you also avoid using the full spectrum of all of your emotions. Now, what are some things that you can do in order to cope with your excessive guilt? For one, acknowledge the wrong that you have done and try to make amends, right? That's, I think, kind of a no-brainer. But with that, and having done that, you have to navigate the very treacherous waters or difficult waters of arriving at some form of self-forgiveness. Talk a little bit about that as I reflect on that a bit myself. Also, try to assess where are your standards in terms of your personal standards when it comes to what you are able or not able to do. Because if your standards are exceedingly high, that can also be very unhealthy because nobody is infallible on this earth. You're going to make mistakes. So that's something to consider or weigh as well. Another thing is you did not know in the past what you know now. So that being said, that may be a path to self-forgiveness as well, because past you, whether it be something that you did 5 years ago, 5 months ago, 15, 20 years ago, you certainly didn't know then what you know now. And with this new knowledge, you can make better choices and different types of decisions that will be conducive to better behavior. So that should open the pathway towards self-forgiveness as well, I would think. And also try to reflect as you look towards whatever it was that you did, what other factors could have played a role in what you did. Because, you know, that can add a certain sense of coping with what you did as well. Like, hey, you know, I didn't think about, you know, how these other externalities played a role in what I did. So that's something to consider as well. Again, excessive guilt, you know, you'll be dealing with that if you're incredibly angry, depressed, dealing with anxiety and depression. Maybe you have physical upsetness, maybe you suffer from insomnia. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's related to feeling excessive guilt. Now, is guilt always bad? Well, no, there's a function to guilt in everyday life, and its basic function is I wronged you, and this guilt that I feel will compel me, motivate me to ask for forgiveness. And then ultimately, and more importantly, it's also going to lead to me not doing whatever it was that I did again. So it does play a positive role as well. It's just that when it's excessive, that it can become very toxic and unhealthy, because at the end of the day, we all have to move on. Now, this is something near and dear to my heart because I've carried guilt, shame, combination thereof for years over things that I've done, which, yes, are shameful and horrible. But having asked for forgiveness repeatedly, having, you know, tried to make amends years and years on end, at some point you have to let it go and move on with the rest of your life. That doesn't mean that I will ever forget what I've done in the past. Certainly those are lessons and teachings that I can carry with me, but notice what I said and how I framed it. They are lessons and teachings of what not to do. They shouldn't define who you are today. So if your guilt and your shame over things that you've done, you carry with you today, well, guess what? That extra baggage will not really allow you to have this brilliant future that you want to kind of live into. So again, excessive guilt is just something that is not conducive to having a great day today, nor allow for a proper pathway to a beautiful, prosperous, abundant future. Because that anchor that you're holding on to is just very heavy. So I've definitely suffered with guilt. If anybody out there is dealing with this, you know, first of all, my prayers to you so that you could find the proper resources, whether it be through coping mechanisms such as reframing your situation, Talking to someone, sharing is always golden, and ultimately finding a path to self-forgiveness so that you could be free of this burden. I throw these reflections at you with all love and respect. I wish you all a beautiful remainder of the week. Again, sync with us in inspiremovement.com. Connect with us in our social media platforms. We have tons of things going on for you basically every week as offerings. And remember, we are here to serve you. So please connect with us so that we could better serve you. Thank you so much and have a beautiful remainder of your week. Bye-bye.